AP US History Crash Course, and today we're going to get a little bit controversial as we discuss the FDR administration's response to the Great Depression, the New Deal, and more importantly, enacted the New Deal that attempted to give workers the fair and safe work environment that they deserved. It was titled the Fair Labor Standards Act, or FLSA. In the end, we'll take a look at whether or not the FLSA really did help in the Great Depression, and more importantly, did it give the federal government too much power over the people, or was it just enough to protect human rights?
Not at all, Miss May. I mean, I can only work like 40 hours a week.
Oh, me from the past, you're not qualified to make that statement. You're underage and driven by crazy hormones.
Oh, what? I was trying to be, like, relatable, you know? Like, appear to a younger and cooler audience. That's what gets views, you know?
You have the worst ideas about how to make people like you. But anyway, not everything about the New Deal and its handling of our depression was controversial and subject to change. This is Crash Course, not MTV.
Do 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 do.
Anyway, the Great Depression can clearly be defined in our history as a time of turmoil. It was an economic crisis and period of low business activity in the U.S., debatably beginning with the stock market crash in October 1929 and continuing through most of the 1930s. Personal income, tax revenue, profits, and prices dropped while international trade plunged more than 50%. Unemployment in the U.S. rose to 25%, and in some countries as high as 33%. Businesses were unable to pay their workers' promised wages, resulting in people attempting to work more hours in order to provide for their family. Labor exploitation was at an all-time high, and only a government intervention could help. Thus, the Fair Labor Standards Act was born. Starting with the law drafted by Senator Hugo Black of Alabama that was then signed in June 1938, the FLSA established an eventual maximum 40 weekly work hours, a minimum wage of 40 cents an hour by 1945, and the prohibition of most child labor. The Act's objective was summarized by Hugo Black as the elimination of labor conditions detrimental to the maintenance of the minimum standards of living necessary for health, efficiency, and well-being of workers. An act that regulates labor can't have any negatives, right? Wrong. From a business perspective, companies were no longer able to hire cheap labor, which was bound to make employers angry. U.S. Representative Arthur Philip Lamnick said that the Fair Labor Standards Act would create chaos in businesses never yet known to us. It sets an all-time high in crackpot legislation. Among other complaints, many believe the Fair Labor Standards Act would give the government too much control. It did give the government control, as they now had a direct hand in the policies and procedures of major businesses. But one can't argue that it wasn't for the good of the people. This is evident in the fact that the FLSA is still in effect today. Rather than the minimum wage of 40 cents that was established in 1938, one today can now expect $10.10. Thanks, Obama. Oh, it's time for the mystery document. All right, here's how it goes. I guess the author of the mystery document, I'm either right or I get shocked. Please let it be Hugo Black. Please let it be Hugo Black. Anyway, the rules are very simple. All right, let's see what I got.
I wish you would do something to help us, girls. We've been working in a sewing factory, and up until a month ago, we've been getting a minimum wage of $11 a week. But recently, the 200 of us girls have been cut to $4, $5, and $6 a week.
I know as much about that as I do for the test Miss Ewing gives. I'm going to be honest, I don't know the answer to this one. Let me guess, Bianca Del Rio? Final answer? Dang it! What? Ah! All right, moving on. Let's talk about how all this fits into Keynesian economics, a theory developed by a man named John. What makes this John different from the other 5,117,915 Johns in the U.S. is that this John's last name is Keynes, and he created a theory saying that the aggregate demand created by households, businesses, and the government is the most important driving force in an economy, rather than the dynamics of free markets. For all those watching who aren't currently attending the Wharton School of Business, this means that free markets have no mechanisms that lead to self-employment. Keynesian economics emphasizes government intervention in the economy through public policies that aim to achieve full employment and price stability. These ideas have influenced governments in accepting the responsibilities to provide full or near full employment through measures that stimulate aggregate demand, such as making minimum wage laws so people are able to make money in order to spend it. Thus, it all comes full circle. In conclusion, the Fair Labor Standards Act makes strides in human rights and labors. The Act established a minimum wage and a maximum work week, something we still appreciate as Americans today. So next time you check your bank account statement and see a fat check from your employer, be sure to take the time to thank the FLSA and FDR. The man himself said it best: no business which depends for existence on paying less than living wages to its workers has any right to continue in this country.